Good morning. Welcome to the Finance and Property Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 19th of May at 10 o'clock. Welcome councillors, Tracy, and to the members of the public who have attended this morning. We have a full agenda, so we'll crack on, I think. Item 1 is apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Howard and Councillor Carr may be attending late.
Okay, noted. Item 2 is a confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of April. They have been circulated. Any issues? Most of the stuff comes up in the agenda. If so, everyone's happy. Could you have a proposal second? Proposed, Dave, seconded Chris. All those in favour? Thank you. We then have a few items here which just need to just finish off the year end. The end of the internal. Oh, sorry, declaration of members' interest. I'm sorry, apologies. To receive any pecuniary or other registrable interest relating to the items on this agenda. The end of the year internal audit report is in front of you. It's been sent out. There's Trevor Brown sent this in. No recommendation particularly except noting 2.2, which is on page 4, where it says, as the website accessibility of the council's website is not compliant with the WCAG 2.2, which we know about AA standards, the council will be unable to confirm compliance at assertion 10 in the AGS 2025-26, and has prepared a plan of action to work towards compliance. In other words, we're working on it. But I think that's the only comment. Unless anybody else has got any other comments. We don't need to note that. Okay. So we'll move on to the asset register, fixed asset register, and to agree the end figure of 2701 570.20, which is on the last page. Yeah. Again, we would need a proposal of seconder on that one. Chris, Dave, any comment? All those in favour? Agreed. Thank you very much.
There is one comment. I think next year, it's an ongoing project of mine, but I think next year I'll be able to conclude the full audit of that. So maybe bring that back during the year just as a full audit.
Okay.
Because some of it is dates back so long and it needs to be checked. We still lease it to the hunters and ferriers at Sindri Island. We still lease to somebody apparently.
Yes. And the gunboats.
Don't they all pay?
Yes. Okay, no, I think that would be a welcome thing to do next year. So we now move on to 6, which is end of year accounts. Just note the figures. Dave, do you want to make any comment on that?
Just briefly, I think last time we went through what we thought would be the end of year figures, and they were more or less right anyway. So we discussed that already once. There's a complete breakdown of the performance last year compared to the year before, and the balance sheet, which you've all got, which is all very straightforward. I think I would just like to have a look at our reserves, and if you remember our financial strategy a few years ago was to build our reserves.
Yeah.
So there's a sheet in front of you, financial summary, with a history of the deficit, first of all on the top line, which
This one.
it's called financial summary, it's landscape. You can spare one here. So on the top line it shows the deficit stroke surplus, and so you can see in 22-23 the deficit reached an all-time high, which is bad, with minus 97,000. Then following year reduced to minus 12,000, but in the last 2 years we've gone plus 50, plus 53, and that's made a big difference. So underneath that you've got reserves, so the effect of those deficit surplus is shown there, and you'll see at the moment at end of last year, 25-26, our reserves are now 224,000. Just a few words about what reserves we need, and a lot of authorities have different versions and different interpretations of what the views on the matter. I think just worth pointing out that we as council are slightly different to quite a few in the fact we have a mixed bag of income streams which other people don't have. So we've got leases, we've got quite a buoyant sales division, we've got a board park which is now earning its keep. In fact, they total about 120,000, which a lot of councils would have. So we're a lot more secure than most because we've got a mixed bag of income streams. If you apply, very sound like the Bank of England here, but if you do a very simple stress test, which you're looking at the effects of inflation and interest, and at the moment utilities, we aren't very sensitive to any of those changing dramatically. So again, we're in a good position. We also have got a proven track record of recovering from a weak position or weaker position, which is helped as well. And our budgeting is very generous. So I don't think that so our reserves policy should take those things into account. So not just sit here and work out a reserves policy. We operate under the general cover of you've got between 25%, your reserve should be between 25% and 100% of expenditure. Well, that's a massive range. Yeah. So just to try and narrow it down a bit, it's just a very place you can, I think. If you look at, I put three different 40%, 45%, and 50% to see how that looks. If you just take the middle one, 45%, which I think is pretty good, that equates to about 45% equates to 5.4 months of costs, which is that puts us in a pretty good position. Generally, if you're looking where we position ourselves, smaller councils need a higher proportion, and larger councils, which we are, require a smaller one. So we're sort of in a good position. If we choose 45% as our reserves policy, we need a reserve in the bank of £187,000. But we've got 224,000 in the bank. So we can afford to earmark a further 30,000, which we discussed last time round, for LGR and some strategic projects, and we'll still end up with 6,800 margin. So my view is that it puts us in a very comfortable position. We can afford the 30,000, which we'd like to have for the LGR, and we've got a bit in reserve. So that would be my. The other, a number of authorities look at the percentage of preset which the reserve is, and it should be between 50 and 80, and we're at 72%. So my view would be that that's looking good, and so we're all pretty comfortable.
Well, that's an excellent report. Great.
Yeah, good report. So can I just make, so we paid the MMO money back, which was in last year. Is that in contingencies? Was that paid out of contingencies?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you'll see the contingency was massively overspent.
It's like 62,000, as opposed to.
Yeah. And
So I think that, the point to take on that, if we hadn't had a problem, this is a strong balance sheet anyway, we would have been another £26,000 better off.
Yeah.
And also, so if you take into debtors, which I think some are still in from the boatyard from last year, I think, which has been carried over, am I right with that?
they're already included in the reserve figures.
In the reserve figures.
It's on the assumption that we get paid.
That you get paid the 11,000 or whatever.
Yeah. And the big debtor paid on the 2nd of April.
Yeah.
Instead of the 1st of March, so that's been.
Yeah.
But that does just reinforce the.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Well, that's good. But this is something we took on 2 years ago, to put these accounts, these reserves into some sort of order.
Since we've been councillors, Dave and I and some other people, this has been a constant debate, and I wonder if we should actually make it policy now that it's 45%. Therefore, it gives us guidance going forward on budgets that we have to structure the budget so that it makes sure that we keep 45% reserve. And I think maybe the way to do that is to actually have that as a fixed policy of the
Because,
I've got to totally agree with Chris, because I don't know how many times it's come up, as you say, particularly over the last couple of years, how much we're putting into reserves to, to survive. So I totally agree, and I'll
You
second
agree with
it.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
you'll
second
that?
it, yeah.
It's ironic really, because we used to always say, rule of thumb about 190, if you remember, for the last 2 or 3 years. It really just said that wasn't far off the truth.
No.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I just echo what everyone said and say again, Dave, we've got the part of the next Harry Potter movie and sorting out this in 2 years or two seasons, as it were, to go from a big deficit to a surplus and a managed surplus with projections going forward is really good work. And just again back to the MMO thing, we did put, I said that was in the contingency. That was last year's money.
Yeah.
It's come out of, and we were looking to recover some of that from, according to applied liabilities. Is that something that we are kind of monitoring? Who's monitoring that? Are we? Or are we just waiting for a reply? Or
Chris?
I've had several attempts to talk to our monitoring officer to just get her view on it. Whether we have to do something as a council, I don't know. And I eventually got through to her. She made a comment. You spoke to her, didn't you, Tracy?
She
She emailed to say, what's it about? We explained, and I'm still waiting to hear. On the other side, we have a report from, I can't remember their name, sorry, EXO, answering our initial questions. And I suppose it's up for us now to decide whether we want to take that further and get a legal opinion on it. But I mean, that will mean spending money, obviously. For your information, that reply was obviously written by their insurance company. So they have referred it to their insurance company. But for us to take it any further, we need to refer it to a legal opinion, I think. And so it's dependent on how far we want to do that.
Can we, sorry.
yeah. It's one of them, do you spend the money and we find out we're not going to get anything?
Yeah.
But then part of me feels that, under due diligence, we should be asking the question, because we do feel there was a fault there.
Okay, can I just say that
So it's a
by
bit,
implication of their replies, they are going to blame one of us for that.
It's a tricky one.
Because, yes, exactly.
it's one of them that,
What we normally put a claim in. I don't think we need, we just put a claim in to that. That's what you do.
let it take its course?
It's not a massive,
Put a claim into,
you put a claim into to EXO and therefore their insurance company.
we're not going to be any worse off if they come back and say, no,
but we just write that we'd like our money back.
But what you have to do is the only way you can, it's got to be purely, it can't be emotional. It's got to be on purely our loss as a consequence of their actions. And we know what the loss is. So I would just, we could go and get legal opinion expert. I think she's put a claim in. And if they settle, that'd be great.
Right, can we just take the first proposal and second about the 45% reserve policy? Well, I don't think there's any objection there. Everyone agree with that? Yeah. So the second part is regarding the EXO thing. Does everyone feel whether we should put a claim in, just a simple claim to see where it goes? At least we're following it through, aren't we?
Yeah,
Doing the,
okay, well, I'll work with Dave and we'll come up with a letter then.
everyone happy with that? Agree? Yeah. I think that makes that leaves we are attempting to.
I think that's the least we can do, and obviously their first reply is going to be counter negative, but then when presented with perhaps an alternative point of view on the whole thing, they may have to revisit it, and maybe we can come to some negotiated position.
at least would be seen to be trying.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Is that all right? That's, I think that's a good point. Right, we are
Can
on,
we move the
Yes.
consolidated balance sheet and the income expenditure account to be agreed at full council on Thursday?
yeah, so this is the end of year accounts.
Yeah.
You've noted the figures that Dave's commented. Somebody move, we accept those? Yeah, and Jane, all those agreed? Thank you. The next one item is 7, Annual Governance and Accountability Return AGAR 2025-26. Tracy?
We need to complete boxes 1 to 10 with answers yes or no, or non-applicable for number 9. Do you want me to read them out? Or do you all have them in front of you?
We have them in front of us. I think the only one is 10, isn't it?
Yes. But we should go through each item. Let's go through each item. Number 1, we have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements, which means we prepared the accounting statements in accordance with the accounts and audit regulations. Happy to say
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah.
Number 2, we maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud or corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness.
Yeah.
We've assured ourselves that there are no matters or actual potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances.
Yeah.
We provide a proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations. Now that has been confirmed in the internal auditor's report, so that is a yes.
Yes.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required.
Yep.
We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems.
Yep.
We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from the internal and external audit, which we did. We considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on the authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements.
Is that a yes now, or a no now? If we do this claim on their insurance?
Well, yes means we've disclosed everything it should have about the business activity during the year, including events taking place after the year end if relevant.
Don't forget it was up to the end of the financial
Oh,
year,
so
so that's
yeah.
going into the
Okay,
new
yeah,
financial year, isn't it?
We're okay.
Yeah.
Have to come up next year, I think.
Number 9 is for trust funds.
Yeah.
Trust funds, including charitable. In our capacity as the sole managing trustee, we discharged our accountability responsibilities for the functions, assets, including financial reporting and, if required, independent examination of audit. Are we a trust fund? No, so I say that is an A.
Yeah.
And then item 10, we have put in place arrangements for the effective IT and data management in accordance with proper practices during the year under review. And I think that one is a no. Because our website is not compliant.
Okay, do you want me to sign this?
No, that'll be signed off the council on Thursday. Please.
So the statement for that, Tracy, that you've written 410, does that go with this document?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it goes with the additional documents. So in the additional documents, I've done an item why we've answered no for box 10, just to say that the website for Brightlingsea Town Council does not currently meet the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2 AA, and the council are currently going out to tender for a new website provider, and this will be completed during the 26-27 year. So that is our answer, unless you want to add anything to it.
No, I think that answers it. We need a proposal second to accept those. Jane? Right?
No.
Or you'd like to second to Dave? All agreed? Thank you. Item 8 is the annual governance and accountability return at AGAR 2025. Agree the figures as listed. Again, we need a first and second.
And also, just to confirm, box 11, do the figures in the accounting statements exclude any trust transactions? Yes, because we're not trust.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
True record, Dave? Jane, second. All agreed? Okay. 9, there's a series of ABs and so on, all in front of you. First one is dates, plan.
Yeah, that was just to give you an idea of the documents that have to be submitted with the AGAR. Yeah,
Okay, any comments on that? 'Cause we can
just
just
ready to
note
note,
that.
yeah.
Everyone happy with all that? Any comments? These are both 9 each. Okay, noted. So, we now move to 10, much more into the current items, the agenda. Budget and financial report up to the 30th of April 2026, including A, the financial summary, which is in front of you. Dave?
Okay, just if you look at the budgets and actuals, as well, only 1 month in, it's not very revealing, but there's a few comments worth making that it's there. First of all, in income, item 2, bank interest and rewards, the assumption when we did the budgets was that the interest rates would fall fairly rapidly, and now they're going back up, therefore we're going to make a killing on that. There's always a bright light somewhere, isn't there? Just to give you a bit of an idea, on the income, well, the car parking, if we have a decent summer, we should generate significantly more than the budgeted figure, but you can't rely on that. But I think there's a good sort of item there. If you look in sales income, number 15, already there's over £4,000 there. That was a licence fee which was paid, which wasn't budgeted for, so that's another little bit of
Excellent.
help. In the costs, we've got item 20, legal fees. We've increased the legal fee for LGR up to 5,000, but we've also got the earmarked funds, so we should be looking sort of fairly pretty on that in that sense. Maintenance, that's the one that is difficult to judge, really. That's where something can go a little bit wrong. I do think on maintenance, it's one of the big items, and I do think we should manage that slightly differently. If you look at, well, not look at it, but if on the other sheet, on the supplementary sheet, there's a breakdown of what those figures are, and I think we could start to manage them better than we did. With maintenance, it tends to be all the rest of it, we do look ahead and say, should we or shouldn't we? With maintenance, it's a done deal normally, so I think we can break it into and just manage it a little better than we would normally. So that's maintenance. NNDR, which is business rates. When we budgeted, we didn't know the increase, which is higher than what it's higher. So we'll take a slight hit there, but it shouldn't be too bad. No, it's definitely more than £1,000. Contingencies. Last time we got hit, well, apart from the MMO, we got hit with Japanese knotweed and several trees falling over, and that alone killed about £9,000. So it's hard to judge, but it's in at what historically it's been in at, but that's obviously a question mark. Landlords improvements of 5,000, that's to do with the playgroup, which we need to decide, is there going to be a lease or not a lease? So we need to put that on the agenda somewhere. It's been going on for a long time now.
Yeah.
And it's time that we've allowed some expenditure to bring the site up to standard if there's a lease. So I think it's time that we brought that one to heel really. Development services, that's where we spend money to try and take ideas and move them forward a little bit. But that's what the 30,000 earmarked funds is for. So again, when we budgeted this, there wasn't the 30,000, now there is. So those are costs that really were carried forward from last year, because last year we were trying to save up a bit, and so some of these items were in last year's budget but underspent, so we carried those forward and it comes to £10,000. And it's on, there is a supplementary list attached, but it's things like bins, which is the hot topic, £4,000. So there's £10,000 to put into basically the maintenance, so we can start looking at that and managing that. We've got a lot of flexibility really. That's it. So if you look at then the final item, and again, when this was budgeted, we decided we better have some sort of surplus, but as we've now exceeded the reserve, that bumps as well. So if you look at, if you top the items up which have become, let's say, free because of the times and budgets, we've got the development services, we've got the extra money that we've got for the license, and a few other things, so that comes to 50,000. So 50,000 pounds to play with. So as I said before, I think our budget is very generous, and so I think the council's got room for manoeuvre.
Chris?
I think in September we have to replace the vehicle. The current, we have 2 vehicles at the moment, one's on contract hire, and one's got to replace. Is it on the agenda? What's on the agenda? Is that? Okay, well,
Let's skip over that one.
Can I just,
can I just ask though, in this budget thing, is it budgeted in a specific way? Have you budgeted it as a contract hire, or as a repayment system?
Contract hire.
Jane?
do you remember what the percentage was we put in for the wage increase?
For,
Right,
4%.
okay.
I think it's
I
actually
think,
4.1%.
I think it's going to come in at 3.8 or 3.9 or something, sounds like, so that's right, I just wanted to make sure we were.
What about capital expenses for things like new lawnmowers? Do we anything on that? Are we aware of it?
I've just said that on wages. Yeah, it's 4.8%.
Okay. So, yeah, I think the murmurings at the moment is 3.9. And I know we were talking about looking for someone to do grants and things, which was, me trying to think we might have a little bit of surplus on the wages there.
I mean, as regards the maintenance, what I say is there is room manoeuvre, and I think we just need to start looking instead of just, well, we have broken it down a little bit. We need to start managing it. There's some things you can predict and forecast, there's some things you can't, but I think we should just put on a time base and start to look at it in more detail and see what renewals we do need. There is some allowance for that, but
It's just a matter of where half those machines work. And, one day we're going to have to replace them. The last one was 50,000.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Any other comment? Good report. What do we need to take a vote on that one?
Accept.
Accept.
because I have a recommendation about maintenance, managing the maintenance.
Shall we have a recommendation?
I just wondered, it's, if we look at items 26 to 27.
Yeah.
That comes to £37,000. You know, my recommendation would be that we should look at that in more detail and manage it in a slightly different way.
We could put that on the next agenda if we'd like to have a review of that.
Yeah.
Because I think we ought to know how those machines are working.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just noted then.
Can I just pick that up? In the way that we've now decided what our reserves are, but there is no, in our accounting system, there's nothing for writing things down. And I do think that at some stage, some of this stuff that we're getting maintained, somebody's going to turn around and say, it's beyond, it's cheaper to buy a new one.
Yes.
We don't, because of the way we do our accounting, we don't have a fund for that. So eventually, in 2 to 5 years' time, whenever it is, we'll get another bill for £50,000 for a new Ventrac. there's some way we can start building that in.
Well, we don't, the way the accounts work, the cash counting, there's no depreciation.
Yeah, exactly.
But what we should be doing is we should be starting to build up a fund in an earmarked fund, which is reserved for minutes. I just think that if you look at all these figures and the maintenance and the equipment, I think there's a way of, I just think we could do it well without any shocks.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. Obviously that will hit us at some time. Okay, any other comment? No? Thank you. We're on 10B, financial monthly overview. Tracy?
Thank you. Hopefully you've got a sheet in front of you, just to say that the income during April was £169,568.41, and that obviously included first half of the set.
Yeah.
That expenditure for April was £35,844.80, and the bank balances as at the 30th of April were £333,131.39.
Thank you. Any comment? That we could just note then. We move on to C, which is credit control as of 30th of April. This has been reducing somewhat last month. It's largely Oak Park and allotments and stuff like that. Football Foundation, have you, what's something about that?
The money coming back to us has been agreed and should be in our bank within 25 days, but I haven't seen it yet. So any day now, that should be.
Any other comment? In that case, we'll move on, that's noted there. 11 is examining the accounts. We need to find 2 members to look at the accounts for Thursday. Anybody can stay behind and do that?
I can't do.
I could.
Jane, thank you, Jane. And anybody else? Graham, would you do that?
I could, but I won't be here on Thursday to read it out.
Well, as long as you seconded it, that would be fine.
Yeah.
You could look at it and then Jane could give the report.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Graham. Item 12 is the council internal controller. A is received report from Councillor Atkinson on the internal control checks carried out for period 4 for the year 25-26.
I'm afraid it's been clapped in for that few days. Rapid time frame.
Yes. Everyone happy with that? We'll just defer that to the next meeting.
I know, but
You've done such a sturdy job. Just say yes.
What have you been doing with your time?
I'm always speaking.
Can I just say though that our internal auditor Trevor has mentioned Dave's monthly, quarterly reports, and how good they are, and has covered a good selection of items.
thank you, Tracy. As opposed to Graham.
B is to agree the councillor internal controller. It was you last year, Dave. Are you happy to continue?
I reckon we should leave him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all agreed? Thank you. Moving on to item 13, it's appointment to the internal auditor for 26-27. Trevor Brown, obviously last year, would we be happy to renew him?
Yes.
I think, sorry, can we just, I think he's very good actually, with the reports on that.
Yeah.
And I know our previous auditor was good, but I think Trevor is taking it on to another level, I think, along with.
He's also a very lovely guy to work with,
Yeah.
Tracy, that's the
Yeah.
other thing, you can understand him, he's an ordinary sort of guy, he
Yeah.
just talks,
That's good.
yeah, so.
And he did say he'd be happy to do it 26-27.
I should have asked that.
Actually, I did ask.
Yeah.
So, proposer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Jane second, all those agreed?
Yeah.
Thank you. So we now move on to 14, financial requests of town council meeting Cameron. John unfortunately had to go to.
I've been partially dealing with this.
Right.
So the only trouble is I can't remember how much it was.
£299 according to this.
Well, so very quickly explain, there's two options that John and I have looked at. One of them is sits here and has a movable camera. And I have read some reviews on it, but also know somebody that's had one, and it's incredibly distracting. You can imagine, and the thing gets confused, especially when two people speak. which seems to happen a lot here. The other alternative is to have a static camera, maybe here, pointing down. It shows everybody, and you forget it's there, obviously, because it's not whizzing around. I think John and I have come back to the preference for that one. I think it's about £200, whatever you said.
£299, I think.
But I think we've also got to consider that we need to put it in properly. I think dangling it from a
From a
chair.
So that'll be a similar thing, that'll be a similar thing to that, and you put it properly.
Yeah, no, it'll be a proper camera, and it will also download. I mean, we'll network it, so it will come out maybe on one of the PCs, you know.
Will it understand Northerners?
I understand that's a dark art, which few people have cracked.
For the members of the public, it's a desire of the council to offer better reception for people watching at home. And there are a few people who do actually listen to these meetings, so I think it is important.
Yeah, I think besides the camera, one of the things I need to check with John is we might need to dangle a mic here or something like that, because one of the big criticisms is that they don't really care what the picture looks like, they can't hear us.
So really what we need to do here is agree if we're going to do this at £299 and putting a couple £100 extra.
I was going to say, I think, you know, putting it there may be the same price as the thing's going to cost.
Yes.
So if you could say £500,
Yeah.
we'll keep it.
You're proposing that £500?
Yeah.
Let me second that. Jane, any comment against or think it's a good idea? Yeah.
That's something we should do.
I think we should. Agreed? Thank you. 15 is financial requests from the Environment NT team and the FCA. Have we got
As
any?
far as I'm aware, there were none.
Anybody can remember anything from the
Unless
FCA?
everybody knows any different.
In that case, we will move on. 16 is website accessibility, received an update to expressions of interest. This is regarding the item which we said that Trevor Brown said we need to do, the 2AA.
So we went out to consultation, whatever, expressions of interest, that's the one. We had 3 come back to say yes. I gave them some more information. We've had 2 of them come back, which you've all got a copy of in your packs. One is from Apex First, and they've quoted a new full WCAG 2.2 AA compliant website will be around £800 to £1,000. They haven't mentioned training or how we get the information from the old to the new and costs for that. The other one is based in Houston, Texas. And
Support the local economy.
they can fix our current website, and obviously I transferred the US dollars into pounds for £1,848, or we can have a new website for £4,065.
You've got to go back to the first
I
one.
think. Chris.
Oh, we did have a quotation at the last meeting for Aubergine, who work with the SLCC. Yeah, and I think they're
How
more
much was that?
local. That was for, I can't remember. Set up in 1 year was £999 plus VAT, although we get £899 plus VAT as we're an SLCC member. But then there is support and transferring from old website to new, so there is a little bit more cost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that one's far more comprehensive, it
Yes.
deals with the data transfer. One of the big concerns I have is that, having read some of the rules, by this time next month, some of those rules will change. And I just wondered, that one offered ongoing support.
Yes, Aubergine did.
But I didn't see that in the other ones.
No.
It was a much more detailed report right at the beginning, wasn't it?
So over to you.
And they did offer to set up a Teams meeting so we can discuss it further before we go ahead.
Because I think the other thing is from Julie's point of view particularly is, you know, how easy is it to load up? And when she loads something up, she's now got to be careful how she loads it up and what it says and things like that. And I think somebody like that is going to give us far more advice than somebody in use.
Very good. So, shall we propose that we go with that? Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Dunn, second. Any, all agree?
Yeah.
That's a sensible thing, solution, and then we become compliant.
Are you dealing with that directly?
I can do, yeah. But he did offer, like I say, to set up a Teams
Want,
meeting
help with
to
that?
discuss it, so,
Chris, who gives the help?
okay, we'll include you on.
'Cause, I'm particularly concerned that they keep giving you support.
Yeah, I think these do, as I say, they were recommended by the SLCC. So I think
There's
that's,
no charge in that for ongoing support going forward, though, is there?
I can't remember, I don't know.
Because I think it might be worth actually buying that.
Okay.
I mean, £400 or £500 a year to make it compliant, and also if there's something goes wrong, we've got something to phone up.
And as you've already said, everything will update as quick as you put it in, doesn't it? So,
We'll see if we can negotiate.
It does say training staff, as part of the basic package, we provide you with access to our council website learning centre that contains a library of simple short videos to watch and learn how to use all areas of the website, as well as remote-based training session for you and your staff members. Also included is a 1.5 hour video call group training session for your staff by one of our experts. Our UK-based team is always on hand during office hours to provide any additional support. We also hold free to attend Zoom sessions twice a month for our members to join pressure training on the website admin tools and functions. So that's quite good.
Yeah, good.
That sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Right, but that's been approved, so
Thank
we'll
you.
move on. 17 is the boat park, to agree the quotation CCTV at the boat park. We always said that we were going to, as part of our plan of taking back the boat park, is that we need better control and supervision, and for our customers who have got spaces there. So this would be a static caravan, particularly taking view of camera, sorry. Yes, well, there is one. Camera to really focus in on vehicles going in and out of the boat park, and would give us some sort of security for all the people who've got their boats and equipment there. The quotations in front of you, which obviously don't pay VAT, so it's 14.89, and that links to all the cameras here, so that Terry can keep an eye on it, which he does regularly, doesn't he, every day? He looks at all the cameras.
Is it going to be the quality that it can be used? I mean, one of the criticisms of it is that they can't see things in the dark. I can't remember what the criticism was, but is it going to be one of the better ones?
Well, this is supposed to be an ANPR camera, so it should do, shouldn't it?
isn't it home view that one to the town centre one? Yeah, so you can see in the dark.
Yeah, it is the better one.
Yeah, it's the better one.
Which is more than okay.
Can I just make a comment? This quotation is only valid until December, so the price may have gone up slightly, so that'd be worth checking. I don't know if Terry has, but
Shall we just approve it on, or go for it on terms as it is, and obviously with some discretion?
It's actually written in as a named item of £2,000 in the budget.
Oh, okay,
If you look on number 43.
so this is 25 cents cheaper, if they keep to the same budget.
I have to admit, I like home view, but I've got them at the shop, they're the same company as the YMCA. And if we call them out, we get someone there within an hour. They're only in Clapton, so.
Any comment, any would like to move that, we can go ahead with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris, Jane, all those agreed? We move on to the Lido Shelter Memorial Plaques, which is obviously we've got the shelter now rebuilt and looking very gleaming and nice. And I think Graham was very keen to offer this facility instead of having plaques on benches, that people can remember their loved ones by purchasing a plaque and fixing it to the shelter. Do you want to add anything?
And then just to say, when I first brought this forward, probably a couple of years ago on it, we did get some ideas for sponsorship at that time. So I will be going back, and maybe it won't be quite as we agreed at that time, but then we'll be going back to 2 or 3 organisations to see if they would still be keen, especially the alcoves. I've never seen anybody sitting their alcoves at the end of each. So I think maybe we could do something, a little bit of a memorial thing for the organisations, sort of thinking of, so many years in the town and all that. So, but I'll be doing that, and and I'll be brought back, and when we get some feedback from them.
But we are still also going to offer people, families, the chance to buy a plaque and have it fixed there.
Yeah.
And I see your suggestion, we could charge £500 to cover installation and maintenance of a 10-year max, for a smaller or a larger, plaque. Personally, I was amazed you thought 500. Isn't that a bit excessive, do you think? Don't you think we could make that a little bit
So
cheaper?
I presume does that include the plaque?
Yes,
Yeah,
it includes the plaque and fix
So it's
it.
300 to maintain it for a year.
Yeah,
That's
10
not
years.
for 10
10
years.
that's for 10 years.
Do you think that's fair? And do you not think we need to make some sort of differential between the smaller plaque and the bigger plaque?
Well, you can, but it's just, I'm not being funny if what people pay for the seats and also the plaques on the seats as well. I just basically think to keep it as simple as possible rather than overthink it,
Yeah.
and if we can get some sponsorship as well, then maybe we could review those prices. But
We only pay £100 for 10 years for maintenance on the seats.
yeah.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind that's a prime position.
So my dad's in the high street.
Just
But yeah.
We'll just fix that as the price, but offer discounts from time to time, depending who it is. You'd have a discount structure.
Yeah, good.
I love the idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Because originally we were going to have it done, as the shelter was being refurbished, and we were going to but obviously then it's all carried on a bit on that. So bearing in mind, I'd like to do something with the alcoves at the end as well.
Yeah.
So depending on what sponsorship we can get, we could rejig some of those prices. Just give us a little bit of a wriggle room, really.
You don't think we ought to do 400 for the small one and 500 for the bigger one or something?
Well, I just think, we
I take your views. Would people pay £500 for a plaque?
Well, we'll soon see when we offer it, and then we don't get any takers, then we can,
How much is a bench?
well, we can recommend
About 1,000
£1,000.
So say 1,000 for a small one, and for £1,000 you get that for 10 years. Was that just painful?
We paid, I can only go back to Dad's. We bought the benches, we paid for the plaques separately, we've replaced our plaques a couple of years ago, we paid for them again, just for the plaques. They were probably, I don't think they were that expensive, and then we pay, we've only just hit our 10-year, 11 years, so we've just renewed our 10 years maintenance, which was only £100.
Saying it's a 10-year maintenance, I would have thought if you said if it's £200 for the plaque, or 250, whatever, if you said 400 for including the 10-year, I don't want maintenance they need, other than just tidying up and cleaning. I'm assuming they're going to be sea waterproof or whatever, salt water resistant, because they're going to get a lot of hammer there. So they may need more maintenance, and then people would renew after 10 years and pay another fee. So we said 100, 150 or something every 10 years, £15 a year. So we said 200 plus 150 maintenance, and that's every 10 years. So it's 350. I think that's. I'm not here to make money out. We really.
It's a nice community.
I think it's a really good idea, but I don't think it's a money spinner. And I think if we cover our costs and and they are maintained, then I think that's really all we should be aiming for. Seems, I think you're right, I mean, 500, I'll put a price on it and be loved, grand table, whatever, or, I've got a brick at the stage of a light in the wall there, that didn't know it cost me 150. 350 to 400, I suppose, would be.
Okay, £400.
Marketable.
Done.
I know I've just, I have checked with you, the committee, I mean, is everyone happy with 400?
Bearing in mind, we will put the little, a peaceful harbour for Hearts We Hope for You, which will be along the top.
Oh, it's not that one at the top, the one who brought his leg.
So, can I have a proposal, please, of 400? Dave, any second? Dave, would you address what? All those in favour? Okay.
I'll put it on the table.
New works vehicle 19, Chris.
Well, I think that just two things. One is, do we have the right vehicle? And secondly, and I'll leave that aside for a moment, because Terry needs to be involved in that conversation. But our point of view, we're going to send back yet again a vehicle that had 4 years, which I don't know what the current mileage is, but I suspect it's under 15,000 miles. And it just seems that we pay for the vehicle and then get rid of it. Because we can't buy it. That's written into the contract. And we're going to get rid of a vehicle that, to be perfectly frank, would be worth several £10,000 at the very least.
Yeah.
By purchasing it, we can keep it as long as we like, and we'll sell it off when we've done 50,000 miles or 100,000 miles. I think commercial vehicles would seem to run to the hundreds. And contract hire is very convenient, but doesn't cover all the maintenance costs, I don't think. Seem to get caught on those. So we're investing in somebody else's product that takes it away and then sells it at a profit. So I'm an owner. I think Dave's a contract owner.
Well, I thought we said some time ago, but I thought we were going to have one that would open, and the other thing at the time we thought maybe we could buy a second-hand one, or the next one was going to be sort of a low-cost item, but it's.
Well, I completely agree with that. I mean, we can go
I mean,
to the
I-
second hand market.
Why not? Why not?
So I thought, one we buy, it's the upfront cost, anyway, which makes a lot of sense, and it's a good quality vehicle. And I thought the other one was, well, do we need such a vehicle? What do we want? I don't know what sort of capable. Do we know?
Well, I think this needs to come back to the next committee meeting with more of a further idea. Maybe we can talk to Terry and.
I think, why don't we ask Terry to make some submissions, because, I mean, we've got a truck that's a tipper now, carries large stuff around. Do we actually need a 4-seater pickup as well? Because that's what it is. I don't know, I mean,
I don't know.
That's it, that's what they want.
I think if you ask Terry, I would say that's what he wants, but whether he needs is a different question.
I used to run a fleet of 200 cars, and if I asked them what they wanted, it was all Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
I
mean,
think they,
we've got to actually say, what do they need?
yeah, I think they asked for the cab bit at the back because they put tools, they can hide tools
Well,
and
maybe
things
they
in
didn't
it.
say.
Or is that their little
Mick,
one?
can I just say, as part of the new waste contract, Veolia have proposed the acquisition of a couple of new vehicles, electric pickup things that just scoot around and pick up fly tipping and stuff like that. And they're going to be based in Clapton, and they can cover just a radius of, I don't know, 15, 20 miles or something like that. Just wondering, could we investigate, potential for, I don't know what cost, but a small electric,
Yeah, if it's only doing a few miles.
might be potentially worth an investment on looking at it. If
Do we
we charge it, yeah.
Should we take it to the staff committee, so the discussion with the staff?
I wouldn't have thought that was the right
I'm
committee.
not certain whether it should go to full staff, but certainly, I think Terry should
Terry advised.
Yeah.
Terry.
Well, either way, you know, we should go
Yeah.
in first, shouldn't we, rather
And
than-
I think it's got to be kind of a needs-led thing,
Yeah.
because as Chris says, you know, we've got a really top-range vehicle that's done no miles and giving it away for nothing. So it's about assessing the business case for a particular vehicle and putting forward a projection. And I mean, maybe the local, a small electric vehicle might do the job.
Might be
It's
good
only
idea.
just short.
Worth investigating. Can we just understand when is this?
September.
September, so we've got.
Yeah, you know, I thought
We've
we
got
start
time to
early,
read
but
that
it's not.
next week.
The contract ends on the 14th of October.
14th of October.
Okay, so we have time.
Mix
So
suggestion.
time to
is
investigate, discuss,
very
and
interesting.
come up
And
with
there's
the
LGR might have an effect on it.
very clever.
But the electric vehicle is very interesting. It's the charging of it.
That's a different debate.
Move that one on.
Lots of charge.
I'll do some more. I'll talk to Terry and we'll come back.
Yeah, next meeting. 20, local government reorganisation to agree the financial allocation towards the LGR, local government reorganisation and strategic project funding. With the FCA have already agreed that we should be putting 50,000 in, but I don't think we. 30,000.
Oh, I like it.
Sorry, 30,000. So I think it's just the finance, we just need to agree, don't we?
It's 70% increase, isn't
That's
it?
what we just had done.
I thought we just discussed all of that part.
Well, I don't think it's actually ever been.
Well, it was mentioned at the last meeting
I don't
under
think it's ever
under
been moved
FCA.
and set
Oh,
up.
yeah,
So
okay.
it's just formalised, really, that's what I'm trying to do. So agree,
We propose a second.
Yeah.
agree? Yeah. I think that was the only point that was on the agenda. 21 is neighbourhood plan. We had a very interesting meeting with the neighbourhood plan people, Sean and they have asked for a financial contribution of 6,375 to basically finish the neighbourhood plan. This went to FCA, and I believe FCA were discussing the need from the neighbourhood plan, asking the FCA and E&T to maybe investigate and help fill in any missing parts in the neighbourhood plan. And I think they are writing back to neighbourhood plan, requesting further information as to what depth and what specific information they require. But this, for Finance Committee, we're talking about the actual contribution itself. Who would like to start?
I would like to I would like to ask the planning, the tendering, the effectiveness of this now. So I think and I don't mean this either way, but I do think we need to make sure that we're spending public money on something that's going to be effective. So I mean, I'd like something from Gary Guy saying we're still accepting neighbourhood plans in our forthcoming planning scenarios.
I can answer that and say yes, they are. It's
Right.
actually listed that,
Right, but I'd like that in writing.
I think it's on one of the agendas already. I can check mine, but
Well, that was surely that was therefore a fairly easy thing to achieve. So I think we could do
I
that.
think that makes me feel much more comfortable that it's not going to just be parked on some shelf.
Yeah, I think the question here is that it may be months of investigative work. It depends on what the neighbourhood plan need. And, we're obviously in the right to asking that. And if it's going to be another 6 months, 9 months, you know, that you're asking, will that still be valid? Yeah. Any other comment? Which one? Take Graham first.
Yeah, well, I think obviously a lot of work has gone into the neighbourhood plan. And I think that once it's completed, it is completed. And we should then use it as a working document. I think where we've fallen down over the years is that we haven't used this. We've done a town questionnaire, which I don't think we've referred to at the time. We've got a lot of good statistics in the neighbourhood plan, you know, considering the feedback we had about the boating lake path, if you like. Whereas if you look with the feedback and also what the neighbourhood plan did, I think we look into the David Plan information, then I think it's all there. I think the problem is we haven't, as a council, really embraced it as much as what we should do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with that. That it has been a bit of an up and down journey since we started. I think at the beginning it was seen as absolutely critical, and it's not. I mean, it's not so much just a neighbourhood plan that is used to influence planning applications. I mean, I think it has got some obviously got some influence, and it has to be considered. But it's a kind of working document as well for the council, because how many times have we sat here saying we haven't got a strategy, we haven't got a vision, and we sort of make stuff up as we go along when something comes up. But if we had an overall assessment of the town, of its resources, of its priorities, then it acts as a reference document, a working document for this council to use going forward. And you know, we had a presentation. We you know, there were clearly some deficiencies in the draft document that we were looking to address by reference to our committees, the FCA and the ENT, and I don't think that process has gone through. I don't think we've actually sat and given it the time that it should have. And I you know, I mean, Chris has said on a number of occasions that it lacks a business perspective. Well, let's try and get a business perspective. You know, I mean, I think as a council, we maybe have some obligation to contribute. We started off, I think, with 2 or 3 council members. I think all of us have been on it at some point. But we've gradually, you know, we've not seen that membership and contribution through. So I think it's time now to maybe just take stock, look at what's on actually in draft now, identify the areas of need, and then go there and seek to address those in supporting them. I don't think this is a contest. I think it's actually a really important document on a number of levels. But also, it's not going to be the final thing, because it has to go out to consultation. But whatever document we finalise goes out to the public and the community and the businesses and anyone else for consultation. So there is an opportunity for people to come back and suggest modifications, alterations and additions to whatever document we come up with. But I think to, you know, to try and stall it or just kind of suspend it and, you know, really put it on a shelf halfway is not in the town's interests. And any future council coming in, you know, would be looking at that. Well, why have other councils completed them? If you look at some of the documents, I mean, you know, Redwyth and Allsford's, I think it's Thorian got one, or Hempstead.
Hempstead's got one, yeah.
You know, so these are smaller places than us, and they seem to really value it and see it as pretty important. So, you know, I think we're I don't know, 2/3 of the way there. There's a finishing line identified here with a plan to do it. I think we should firm up our contribution to that over the next month or 2, and then agree a final kind of document, and then take this on. So I would be suggesting that we did support it, and you know, saying it's taxpayers' money or whatever, ratepayers' money. We have spent money on other contingencies that I personally didn't agree with, but we have spent a lot of money on that. So I think this carries an inherent value, not just now. And as I think, if you wanted Gary Kyle to come and say, if you want neighbourhood plan, I'm pretty sure what he would say.
I'm just emailing him now.
Yeah, that it is very helpful, but it's not about the kind of interpreting the planning situation now, because it is fluid. There's a government position that is changing by the day, by the week, by the month. I think we have this practice is consistent, carries us forward. And in 3 years' time, when you've got a new council, there's a reference point for the council when it's looking at taking action around different parts of the town, you know. Or actually the plan has looked at that and says that's an area that's faulty rather or not. So I would argue that it's got intrinsic value and that and the amount it's asking for is I would say, you know, money well spent in terms of its future worth.
Chris?
Well, I don't disagree with what Mick's just said. I think it is the basis, or could be the basis to start to look at a long-term strategic plan. But it's not built to do that at the moment. It's built as a planning application, as an application, sorry, I mean, as a planning document and how, where development should take place. I'm more than willing to go with it as a strategic document for the whole council, but it has to be worked on considerably. I mean, its basis and the consultants that are running it are basing it on requirements of this neighbourhood plan, which is to do with where development is and what that development's about. If we wanted a strategic plan, then that needs a bit of work in that direction. And I'm 100%, I think it's a great basis to start with, but I think it needs a lot of work.
Sorry, I'm not saying that we turn it from a neighbourhood plan into a strategic plan. I'm saying that it could form part of a strategy and a vision for the council, which we don't have. And I think going back a few years, when I tried to write a vision and get some input from the different committees, it didn't actually get, you know, to the final leg. But I mean, it's a tool. I don't think we turn it into a strategy document. I think that's something that could inform, very much inform a strategy document. But I think that's a separate case. I mean, a separate issue.
Yes, okay. I think one of the big problems was it had very few conclusions, and as a plan, I think that was, maybe that's the perception that they want us to look at. Dave, do you want to say anything?
I just know what the timescales were.
Jane's got something from Gary Gardner.
No, I've just checked, it's not come through. I have emailed him straight just now, so.
What do we know the timescales and completion? You know, if we followed that programme that was suggested, what's the timescales?
Well, I think one of the things the FCA and the ENT were saying is that we need to know exactly how much more information they need, because obviously the more in-depth it is, the longer it's going to take us to complete it. And so that's the commentary, I think.
I mean, I don't misunderstand this. I think the people that have been working on it, and I give them the greatest respect, they've thrown everything at it, considering I think there's only 2 or 3 of them left there. Is there 2 of you left?
There's 4.
4 of you left. I mean, they've done a hell of a lot of work on it, and I don't want to write that work off in any way, shape or form. But I do think I'm more agitated by the cost that these consultants charge and for what we get for that. And I'd like to see that enhance the project. If we're going to spend another £6,500, what is that going to do to enhance the project?
So what was it, we're the finance committee.
Can I make a suggestion? Before we go any further, we've been asked to do something, and I don't know what that was. I'm afraid I was late for that meeting. But we've been asked to do an input, and I'd like to know what that was.
Well, that's, FCA and ENT have asked to write to them in a neighbourhood plan again, to actually give us a fuller description of actually what they're seeking us to finish. Because that answer will tell us how much this council will have to spend on time.
I don't know, is it possible to us, the audience, work out the timescales? Because that's not my understanding of that reference was the draft document as it stood could be, some sections of it could be allocated to the FCA and some to the ENT for more detailed scrutiny. And the idea was that instead of having the whole document and everybody working on it, certain sections like related to transport, related to active travel or whatever, were referred to the ENT, and other things about asset development were referred to the FCA for an agenda item at their next meeting to look at the report, look at the draft report, and make some observations and feedback. Rather than us all sitting around trying to make, it's like a committee, just takes forever to do anything. But to actually say there's 5 sections of that report, can you read them before you come to the meeting, bring your observations? Because Chris has made some valid, comments about some of the things that are not in it. But I think it was then incumbent upon us to respond to that and say, well, we think this should happen. How can we do that? So maybe we could have called a meeting of the businesses and or sent a questionnaire. I don't know. We could have done that, or we could have looked at it and said there's no conclusions here. We need further evidence to match that and to take forward. But then that would have been a kind of appraisal of the document as it stood, suggestions on how to improve it going forward, and for that to be included in any consultant work. Because there's a plan for the consultancy work, but I think if we say, well, these are the areas where we think it's a bit thin and it needs a bit more work, then that would be presumably their emphasis.
Yeah, I
Rather
understand.
than Susie saying.
I'm just going to ask, would you like to add anything to the?
Yeah, I did come in case you had any questions, but so I think how I personally took it was that you could look at the plan as it is now and decide if there was anything that you thought needed to be added from your perspective as a council and your knowledge of the town and what the people in the town want. So that was the idea. As for conclusions, I'm not sure it really comes to conclusions. It just writes policies. So it's the policies are the conclusions. So if you want to, you can just look at the policies. I think that's the idea. And the consultant, the money for the consultants, she would be helping us to create a questionnaire that goes to the town, that we would then have to amass that information and see if there's anything from that that's really missing from the plan, and then potentially engage on that, or just put it in after that engagement, and then she would take it to Tendring District Council to look at it. She'd make sure it's all written in the appropriate legal language, and then once it's gone through tendering, it has to go through an examiner, and then once it's gone through that, that's when it can start to be used. And my understanding all along has been that it's 50-50 with the local plan. If there's a neighbourhood plan, it has as much weight as a local plan. And that's why, although when the government announced that they were taking away funding, personally, I think that probably is to do with consultants and how the whole consultant system works. But I don't know that. Loads that our consultant let people go, and then so many towns and parishes wanted to continue on. She actually re-employed everyone that she let go. So if you talk to RCCE, they're still running lots of webinars on neighbourhood plans because so many towns are trying to create one. So I think we'd be potentially be left behind if we didn't have one.
Can I just ask, the examiner, who's the examiner then?
He's to do with the government. Yeah.
Inspector.
So it gets examined at that level.
So, what would the finance committee like to?
I'm not on this committee.
No, I know.
My view is we've got to go. I just amazed with this conversation. It's all going to be power to our elbow once we get it done, and we can reference going forward. With the problems with LGR, what's going on with LGR, we don't know what's around the corner, do we? This could be a real good working document which we could use in the future.
Well, I'm here to take your decisions, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to wait for the response back, bring this back to the following meeting, or would you like us to move on this now?
Have we not got to do the first thing first, which is the FCA and the ENT have got to work on it? before we can make a final decision?
I think we've got the SCA and the obviously the town meeting on Thursday, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that's your first port, we know who's going to be on what, don't we? And then I think we need to push on a bit quicker than what we have done things in the past.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I've got, and I'm sort of probably with the committee system, what we're working on, is that it goes from one to the other, then it comes to finance, it's just too cumbersome. And maybe we should look on how the two committees do work. If we're going to, should we just be having a joint meeting so we get it instead of, oh, that's the internet.
We could have a separate evening for this.
I think that is a good point. I think this is such an important document for the town. As Grim said, in terms of the new unitary, who knows what position the unitary is going to take in respect of Bridon Sea and its issues. And if we had a plan that represented what those issues were, I think it would give us much more clout in any discussions with them. Because otherwise you're going to have to rely on individual councillors, remembering different bits, and the councillors could change, and strengthen the individual. Whereas you've got standing document, you've got consistency. But I would suggest that we had perhaps delegations from each committee to come and have a comprehensive look at the draft plan, feed that back to the full town council, right?
Yeah.
With a view to supporting it and coming back. I mean, I'm conscious there are two members of the finance committee not here, so maybe we need them in to make a full decision on this. Yeah. And with all the information, take it to the next meeting, or schedule a neighbourhood plan meeting. Because I think I don't know if there was that many people here for when they came to the presentation.
There's a planning committee.
Planning committee. Well, maybe we say to the full council. It's such an important document. They need a warning. Let's have a full meeting. Please read it. Come and talk, comment on it, and let's try and own it rather than kind of.
I agree with.
Delegate.
I think we do need to move it forward as fast as we can, because otherwise we don't want to delay it. So I think we should do exactly what you're saying, Nick. Yes, sir, Jane.
Well, I sit on the local plan committee, and I know that when it comes in, those people with neighbourhood plans are always mentioned. Neighbourhood plan, Alsfords has come in, and Elmsteads, and all those have got them. They are mentioned frequently.
Okay. So it's going to come up on FCLET next committee meetings, but I agree with Nick. I think we need as a full town council probably need a special meeting to just talk about this and get this going and not delay it any time at all. Yeah. And then bring it back to full council.
Well, you need to bring back finance before the next full council meeting. We're on schedule, aren't we?
All agree? Thank you for your contribution. The next item is 22, which is Brightsea Cricket Club. Dave, I think you were going to say something about that.
No, well, actually, I think there's an important meeting due, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been made aware that there's been a potential change of the project management team behind this project, and having spoken to the chair of the club last night, they do have a committee meeting tonight to clarify their way forward. And I think following that again, I think it's always good to talk. That it may well be that some members of this committee, or the new committee, have a appraisal meeting with the cricket club project team, because I think there's some internal restructuring going on. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I don't think they are at the moment. So I think that it's an important meeting for them tonight. I was going to go as an observer, but I can't because we've got the town council meeting tonight. So I think, you know, we'll get some feedback from that. And then, perhaps we just need to update ourselves as a council where we are, because it's, you know, there's a planning application, no finance involved as such yet, but there may well be some financial implications in the future.
Great.
I just think again, we really do need to have somebody to go to those, even if it is an observer. Because no, you know, this has come forward now, you know, and we should have a liaison, if you like, between us. Because if it's going to go ahead, it's going to be a massive operation.
Yeah.
And I think we should be in there getting a regular update, you know, and rather than firefighting, which seems to be the.
Well, they're meeting tonight, presumably Mick, you'll find out tomorrow.
I'll hopefully get some, I'll get some feedback, and then, so, so there to,
Well,
me, or, I mean,
it should be FCA actually.
yeah. Maybe it's that we invite them to come to the next FCA.
I think so, update us with those, I think it's good, I think, make a note of that. Okay, good.
Is this, I get lost in this a bit, so is it whether it's on or off? Is it that level of discussion?
No, I think, no, I think it's all, I mean, as far as I understand it, it's still on.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
that, it's the, capacity of the committee to deliver that's, in question. And they are, as I say, looking to restructure internally, who's actually taking forward. So I think it's, you know, they'll have to come up with their response, and then I think invite them to, when is the next FCA?
10th or something, June, 9th, 10th of June.
Yeah.
I can check the date.
Yeah, just, well, maybe that's my response to them, whatever they come up with, rather than just pass it.
It's the 9th, Tuesday the 9th.
Tuesday,
At
time.
11 o'clock.
Okay, I think they've come.
And we'll wait for that because obviously they need to then tell us what their position is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, committee. I just have a last item, which is let the members of the public, if they have a question, to ask the finance committee. Richard.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Finance Committee for their work during the year. There is a rumour that Brighton City councillors don't do much on social media, and that is a total lie. You know? So I will thank.
putting it on there.
No, I wouldn't. No. But as you know, in the House of Lords, locality has been discussed, and let me get this right, the devolution and community bill is now law, passed on the 29th. One thing that's come out of that, the House of Lords got the amendment, was that coastal and rural communities would get the same funding as urban, which is good. But then it came on to local, these area neighbourhood committees. Now the area neighbourhood committees, the House of Lords wanted the local town and parish councils to be the centre. They wanted to pass, they wanted statutory things so that you were local. But the government pushed back on that. They've now said that they will consult you and you will have representation on this area neighbourhood committee. It's not mandatory, but they quoted there like Surrey, which they're basing it on 50,000. So if we go to North Essex, we would have 10 appointed people on. So you've got 10 business people here, somebody from the health, maybe faith groups. Looks to me a little bit complicated, but they will have some power for the decisions going to the unitary authority. You may know more. Apparently, we're supposed to have 2, I've been told, for Brightonsea. Whether that's official, I don't know. But the thing is, these councils, we're going to have them, and in next year you've got the elections for the unitary councillors, shadow, and in 2 years you'll be working with them. And the government has said we'll be working with them, but we'll also be working above them. We don't know about, if I went to a meeting, whether I put a question in, we don't know anything about that. We don't know actually how they're actually going to function. But it's a very important thing you know, we're talking about neighbourhood plans. But the other thing, and you know this, you're looking at the assets. Well, that was discussed at the House of Lords. House of Lords said this is not democratic, but they were worried about the funding. And Councillor Steady told me that I didn't realise that it's not a mandatory thing to have public toilets. I didn't know that. And they were looking at, I think the local council association in England are having talks with the committee for toilets, public toilets. There's a committee, you wouldn't believe this, but they're saying on average 25,000. So we've got 3, I'm not saying for each building. So this, when it comes in, is going to change the whole complex, because this government didn't want really local councils at parish really involved that much. All they wanted was for you to take some assets on and you decide off the parish rate. That's what I understand. I might have got this wrong. But there's going to be some big changes. Also with the planning, and Jane and Mick probably know this. Let me get this right. The Secretary for Housing has now got power to call in any housing estate of 150 homes, more than that, like the London Authority, plus the fact, according to what I've read, they'll be able to go above the mayor, because we've got that to come. So, yes, we'll have the neighbourhood plans, these are good, but all due respect, 2 years' time, Essex County's gone and tendering's gone, which I think I don't agree with, but there's going to be some pretty big changes. So hopefully we'll get some representation from the town council. So once again, I will thank you for the year. And as I say on social media, they're not correct what they say on social media, but I'll leave it at that.
Well, we appreciate those comments, and Malcolm would have us have 4 toilets.
Oh, yeah, well, they didn't discuss it in the House of Lords. That wasn't discussed.
Very succinctly, Dick, because what you said is exactly why we need the neighbourhood plan. That when things do happen, we can actually go in front of people and we can say, right, there it is.
Who waved it?
I wouldn't go there. That didn't work.
That didn't work last time. That's what I was going to say. Any other questions?
Yes, I don't know whether it's relevant to this meeting, but you've been mentioning the shelter and the prom. You've got potential trip hazard there. When you come off the prom on the original slab of concrete, that is now about 2 inches lower than the new slab.
Okay.
Now, whether one's sinking, one's rising,
Okay.
I don't know, but you've got potential.
We're having a meeting in the next week or 2 with the guy who's going to do the pathway, which is right near this. We'll have a look at that at the same time.
But it could be responsible. People have installed it recently.
Oh, okay.
Is it the new bit that's sinking?
No, it's a new bit that's rising, I think.
Right, that's a bit terrible.
Yeah, I can't, I mean, the old bit's been there so long, I can't see
I was
that.
going to say, so no, I was wondering if it was sinking.
Well, we're going to say we're going to be on site with Terry and
But just so you're aware of it.
Okay, we had a very full agenda, and I appreciate the committee, because I think we had to work really hard to get through that. Hour and a half, I think that's done rather well. Thank you, and I'll close the meeting at 11:30.
Yeah,